So I'd like to talk about the differences between the original vintage Doc Martens from the 90s and the new Doc Martens that they've made to sort of mimic the 90s. These are called the vintage versions, 2021, 22, something like that. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to point out is the tag. So the tag on the 90s version is silk screened onto some nylon tape. The new versions are woven into with some shiny thread. I much prefer the original version, silk screened on there. The next difference is the soles. So the 90s versions are a bit harder. They're older, so that might be part of it. And the newer ones are a little squishier. The older ones say the original and made in England. The newer ones say made in England, but no, the original has the same thing, the same symbols on the bottom and everything. The next thing I'd like to point out would be the stitching. The stitching here on the 90s version are double stitched, and they're a shorter version, or they're like a shorter stitch length than the newer. So the newers have a longer, and they're only a single. The stitch bed is black here, and the stitch bed here is red. I like the black version because they attach the soles to the shoes by burning them, melting them together, and so you'll have a black line here, but then it's red. I don't think that worked out too well. So the next thing is the eyelets, and the eyelets on the 90s versions are black and the newer versions are red. I think the red with the red just doesn't work. I don't like the way it works. The black stitching here and sort of a clear or white stitching here, I don't think that works. I much prefer black with the stitching and black with the stitch bed here. The next thing is the actual thickness of the leather, and you can see the vintage version is almost double the width of the new version. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to affect the longevity, the creasing, and pretty much everything else. So that's some of the differences between the two of these guys.